Okay, so genetic algorithms can fine tune these membership functions that you have got. Okay, so fine tuning these membership functions, the example for that is given here. So let's say a triangular membership function initially that was predefined in your knowledge base that is defined by A, T, and C with the midpoint on, let's say, B. uh, a fine tuning can be done, and the scaling factor the scaling factor for that could be increased or reduced. For example, the limit AC could actually be reduced to A prime and C prime. Okay, the shape could be, say, it could become more skewed or it could become more flatter. Okay, so that sort of change can be done through genetic algorithm, and for that, of course, you will have to define a chromosome here. Okay, and by now you would be very clear how a chromosome could be defined in this particular case. Okay, so let's say कि अगर मैंने ये perform करना है तो how would I define a chromosome? इसका क्रोमोसोम क्या होगा? जी, एनीवन? जी, एनी आइडियाज? जी, so let's start with, let's say, Aisha. What do you think? How can you define a chromosome that could be used for in a genetic algorithm to fine tune the shape of the membership function? Okay, anyone else? Maybe Wes? So you first have to look at um, the parameters that define a membership function. So let's say you have a triangular membership function. तो इस triangular membership function कितने parameters हैं जो कि आप triangular membership function के define कर सकते हैं? ACT, yes. So you have A, right? You have T, and then you have C. ठीक है? तो आप A की वैल्यू को चेंज कर सकते हैं, C की वैल्यू को चेंज कर सकते हैं और T की वैल्यू को चेंज कर सकते हैं, right? Or instead of T, you can also take the value, let's say B, क्योंकि B is the projection of T. ठीक है? So these are the three primarily the parameters that you can have here. So my chromosome could consist of 3 bits. The first bit could contain A, the second bit would contain C, and the third bit could contain B, and then the third bit could contain C. And I can actually do a mutation of this. I can change this C, I can change this A, I can change also B. And if I change any of these parameters, the shape changes. right? Okay, so this could be a chromosome that could represent a triangular membership function. And same is the true when I can actually do some sort of a crossover. So for example, I have got a membership function for one type of a triangular membership function, and then I have got another chromosome. And here I can perform a crossover. I can take this bit and replace it with this bit. So crossover could be done. So a simple chromosome could consist of, in case of a triangular membership function, these two values, right? Right. So, okay, so let me just extend this discussion, and now you'll basically be assisting me in this. Let's say I've got um a membership function, a trapezoidal membership function of this form. Right? So if I've got a trapezoidal membership function, फिर chromosome की shape क्या होगी? I mean, what type of chromosome you can define for this? And let me just ask this time, Sama. G, go ahead. So how many bits for a chromosome, or how many genes for a chromosome can be defined for a trapezoidal membership function? And how can you define that? G, 4 points, right? Uh, so you can define these 4 points, and these 4 points could be um, let's say you have a point here, which is A, then you can have a point which is B here, then you can have a point which is C here, again you can have a point which is D here, right? So your chromosome could consist of 4 bits. Well, it depends कि आप एक A के लिए जो है वो कितनी bits reserve करते हैं, but if it is single bit, then this would be the shape of the chromosome that you'll have. And my population would consist of these different membership functions that I've got here. And I can do, I can perform crossover, and I can perform what you can say, mutation and stuff like that. Okay, let's move on. Let's have another membership function, and this membership function is, let's say, a Gaussian membership function now. So in case of a Gaussian membership function, आपका chromosome किस shape का होगा? So let's say you have a chromosome for a Gaussian membership function. So what would be the shape of, or how would this chromosome be defined? Um, okay, Adil, what do you think? अच्छा, if he's not ready, then Hamza. ठीक है, वो भी शायद he's not able to answer this. Then maybe we can move on to Aina Hazan. So the question is, for a Gaussian membership function, क्रोमोसोम कैसे डिफाइन किया जा सकता है? ओके, सो शायद वो भी अभी सोच रहे हैं. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई हैव गॉट सम आंसर्स हियर फ्रॉम अवैस. ही सेज 3 और 2. तो ठीक है, आप बताएं कौन से, इफ देयर आर 3, दैट व्हाट आर दोस 3, एंड इफ देयर आर 2. सो ओसामा सेट के मीन एंड वेरिएंस आप यूज कर सकते हैं, बिल्कुल ठीक. सो दैट मेक इट 2. Then Aisha said that you can have more than 4. That depends. I mean, and then Aina just thought of mean and standard deviation. Fine. So mean and standard deviation could be defined. So if mean and standard deviation, and if you use one bit for both, then this would be like 2 genes that are present in your chromosome. ठीक है, लेकिन 4 आपने लिखे हैं. आयशा, can you elaborate on those 4? So one could be mean, the other could be the standard deviation. What could be the other 2? Left and right value, minimum and extreme. Extreme and mean. Okay. Right. So if I've correctly understood what you're saying, then that means that you are actually saying you are taking this value and this value, right? Okay. लेकिन अगर let's say कि मैं mean value लेता हूँ, and if I define, okay, the standard deviation, ठीक है, in a way I am defining these limits here, ठीक है. तो आप इसको बिल्कुल आप इसको यूज कर सकते हैं if you want, but I think even if you use only 2, which are the mean and the standard deviation, this could work, ठीक है. So you can have mean value here and you can have the standard deviation value here, so that should work. मेरा ख्याल में उसमें कोई ऐसा issue नहीं है. So you can use these 2 values if you want, right? So let's just move on further. So that means कि अगर मैंने genetic algorithms को use करना है in order to, let's say, fine tune my membership function, so what is the first thing that you'll have? The first thing that you need to have is some predefined database, ठीक है. और predefined database के अंदर you define some membership functions, and then you can encode those membership functions in the form of a genetic code, and then genetic algorithms can be applied to change the shape, okay? And those shapes, once you change the shape, they could feed into your rule based knowledge based systems, and that knowledge based system could be used to run your fuzzy systems. Acha, theek hai, that's fine. So what type of fitness function can be used here? क्योंकि आपने जेनेटिक एल्गोरिथम को जब यूज करना है तो फिटनेस फंक्शन आपने यूज करना है. सो व्हाट टाइप ऑफ फिटनेस फंक्शन कैन बी यूज्ड हियर? You're open to answer. What type of fitness function can be used for a genetic system that is used to fine tune the database? Okay, so let me just um, go back to this diagram here. Okay, let's say, so you have to keep this diagram in mind. I'll give you a minute to think about. Okay. Difference with lesser difference. What do you mean by lesser difference, Aisha? So Aisha has just commented that we can find difference between two shapes. Between the two shapes, the shape with lesser difference could be considered more fit. Point to point match the shape. Okay. Now maybe you have probably misunderstood here कि हम यहाँ पे करना क्या चाह रहे हैं. Okay, so let me just explain that again कि हम यहाँ पे करना क्या चाह रहे हैं. ठीक है. So let's say कि मेरे पास ये एक knowledge based systems और let me just move on to this diagram. Maybe this diagram is more helpful. अच्छा. So let me just explain कि what we are trying to do here. ठीक है जी. राइट. सो लेट्स से कि मेरे पास एक क्रोमोसोम एक जेनेटिक एल्गोरिथम मैंने इंप्लीमेंट किया जो कि एम की शेप को चेंज करता है. ठीक है. जस्ट वन. लेट्स जस्ट टेक वन मेंबरशिप फंक्शन. तो अभी तो इसकी शेप ये है. ठीक है. आई हैव अ क्रोमोसोम व्हिच हैज दिस शेप. फर्ज करें कि इस एम को मैं इस तरह से चेंज कर देता हूँ. ठीक है. So with this new shape, what I'll do is that I'll run this fuzzy system and I'll get some output and I'll have some desired output in mind. कि मेरे पास एक desired output है. I'll simply compare the output of the fuzzy system with the desired output. And that would give me an error. ठीक है. So if I take the original shape, I'll get some error after running this. If I take the modified shape, I'll get some error. क्योंकि the desired output is known to me. ठीक है. फर्ज करें ये फजी सिस्टम जो है वो अल्फाबेट रिकग्निशन के लिए. सो आई गिव अ शेप. लेट्स से आई गिव एट द इनपुट 1 और आउटपुट के ऊपर मेरे पास रिकग्निशन में आना चाहिए कि ये अल्फाबेट 1 है. लेट्स से कि दैट्स द सिचुएशन. एंड फॉर दैट आई हैव टू डिफाइन लेट्स से सम इनपुट्स और उसकी कोई मेंबरशिप फंक्शंस मैंने डिफाइन कर. ठीक है जी. एक मेंबरशिप फंक्शन मैं यूज करता हूँ उसकी शेप और 1 के अगेंस्ट मुझे ये आउटपुट दे देता है. लेट्स से कि ये 1 नहीं है बल्कि ये 9 है. और अगर मैं शेप चेंज करता हूँ तो ये मुझे 1 आउटपुट दे देता है, ठीक है। सो विद द चेंज्ड शेप मेरे पास एरर 0 हो जाएगा, विद द प्रीवियस शेप मेरे पास एरर एग्जिस्ट करे। सो आउट ऑफ दीज टू शेप्स मैं ऑब्वियसली नई शेप को प्रेफर करूंगा बिकॉज दैट हैज गिवन मी लेस एरर। So my fitness function here would consist of this error. I'll try to fine tune these membership functions in a way कि वो इस error को reduce कर दे over different alphabets. I hope this is clear now. So यहाँ पे membership function की जो shape है, that would determine every change in the membership function. जैसे ही मैं m की shape को change करूँगा, I'll calculate the error. I'll find out the error. कि फर्ज करें 1 से 9 तक जो अल्फाबेट्स हैं उसमें से वो कितने करेक्टली आइडेंटिफाई करता है विद वन शेप से। इन वन केस वो 60% आपको करेक्ट आइडेंटिफिकेशन देता है, विद अनदर शेप वो हो सकता है 75% आपको ज़्यादा एक्यूरेट जो है वो वैल्यूज दे दे। विद अनदर शेप इट वुड गिव यू एन 85% एक्यूरेसी, विद अनदर शेप इट कुड गिव यू से 95% एक्यूरेसी। So ये जो accuracy है, that will be my fitness function in this particular case. So the idea here is that I change the membership functions, I change the shape of the membership functions, determine कि मेरे given problem को कौन सी shape ज़्यादा बेहतर तरीके से solve कर सकती है, and that determination would be the fitness function that I'll be referring to. I hope this clarifies in what context we are using genetic algorithms here. Right? Now this is very important क्योंकि otherwise थोड़ा सा आपके लिए वो हो जाएगा। I mean, if you misunderstand this, then it would be difficult for you to actually comprehend कि हम करना क्या चाह रहे हैं, ठीक है। So is this clear to everyone जी? So do write in the comment box or open your mic and you can let me know कि क्या ये context clear है in which we are talking about. जी, I got an answer from Aisha. I am waiting for the answers from the others. अगर कोई confusion है तो just ask me now क्योंकि otherwise it would be difficult for you to follow. Okay. Great. So this is clear. So Zorais has just joined us. So G, is it clear to you as well? Okay, great. So so that is when you are changing the database, and if I am changing the rule, if I am changing the rule base, that means कि अब मेरे पास कुछ set of rules हैं and I am fine tuning the rules. और fine tuning the rules, what would fine tuning the rules mean? Fine tuning the rules would mean कि यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है if x1 is high then x2 is low and x2 is low then y is medium. So I can actually, I mean my genetic algorithm could change this rule and could say that अच्छा अगर मैं इस high को medium से replace कर दूँ तो क्या मेरे ओवरऑल फजी सिस्टम की परफॉर्मेंस बेहतर होगी या खराब होगी, ठीक है। सो एंड ये हाई से मीडियम मैं कैसे करूंगा, दैट वुड बी डन थ्रू जेनेटिक एल्गोरिथम्स, ठीक है। सो आई विल यूज जेनेटिक एल्गोरिथम्स टू डू दिस चेंज, टू जनरेट दीज रूल्स, and then once I have generated these rules, I have modified these rules, I have changed these rules, I'll pass these rules through put these rules in my knowledge base, run the fuzzy system and see कि क्या अब क्लासिफिकेशन बेहतर हो रही है या पहले क्लासिफिकेशन बेहतर हो रही है, right? So for this fine tuning, as we have done some fine tuning in case of the database, we can do some fine tuning in case of rule base also. But for that, you'll have to now encode sorry, for that you will have to encode your rules in the form of a chromosome, ताकि आप जेनेटिक एल्गोरिथम्स को यूज कर सकें. So, अब क्वेश्चन ये होगा कि ठीक है, मेंबरशिप फंक्शन की शेप को तो आपने क्रोमोसोम की फॉर्म में इनकोड कर दिया. हाउ विल यू इनकोड अ रूल? How will you encode a rule in the form of a chromosome? So let's say मेरा ये इसी रूल को ले लेते हैं. If x is high, then x2 is low, and x2 is low, then y is medium. So how many variables are there? 3 variables: x1, x2, and y. These are the 3 variables, and they have their linguistic labels. X1 has high linguistic labels, x2 has low linguistic label, and y has medium linguistic label. So फर्ज करें R1 को या R2 को मैंने इनकोड करना है in the form of a rule, in the form of a chromosome. So अब chromosome की shape क्या होगी? How many genes will be required in my chromosome? Maximum. Number of variables, fine. So is number of variables enough? क्योंकि अगर मेरे पास x1, x2 and y are the variables, then I'll have, let's say, how many genes? 3 genes. ठीक है जी. So I'll have 3 genes. So I'll have, let's say, x1, and then I can have x2, and then I can have y. Yes, like for high, medium, and low. So I can also say that I can have, let's say, instead of 3 genes, I can have, let's say, 2 genes per variable. So the first one would be the variable itself, and the second one would be the linguistic label for this variable. And let me call it L1. And then you can have x2 and its linguistic label. Let's call it L2. And similarly, you can have for the final variable, which is the output variable y, and the linguistic label for y, let's say ly. So you can have 6 genes here, or you can have 3 genes here, where आपको पहले से पता है कि जी अच्छा, the first gene would always refer to x1, the second gene would always refer to x2, the third gene would always refer to y. तो मैं इसको high 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 कर सकता हूँ, ठीक है. Or I can have this 6 gene arrangement. So my chromosome length could be of 6 genes, or it could be of 3 genes. Right? So if I've got these two, let's say if I want to turn this high to medium, I can do a mutation on my on my chromosome. Okay? So I can take this first one and mutate it, and that mutation would mean कि मैं high को low में convert कर दूं या high को medium में convert कर दूं. Similarly, I can do a mutation on the last one. That means कि इस y के साथ जो medium है, I can change this, and that could be done through mutation. Or I can take rule 1 and rule 2 and I can do a crossover between them. That means कि x is high और यहाँ पे x is low है. I can do a crossover between these two and I can generate R3. And what would be R3 and R4? I can generate these two rules from here. What could be R3? R3 could be, okay, this part here is taken and gets the place of this part. So this would be if x1 is low and x2 is low, then y is medium. So that would be my rule 3. And my rule 2 modifies to a form which says that if x1 is high and x2 is low, then y is high. So two new rules have been generated here, right? And that would be, those two rules would be R3 and R4. And that means that I have actually changed my knowledge by my rule base here. So with these new rules, what I'll do is that I'll have these old rules with me and I'll have these new rules with me. I'll run my system, find out whether my system works correctly with the old rule set or with the new rule set. जिस rule set के साथ मेरा fuzzy rule based system ज़्यादा बेहतर काम कर रहा होगा, I'll take that. ठीक है जी, is this clear? Great. I hope it is clear to everyone else also. Okay, so these are the two different ways in which genetic algorithms can be combined with fuzzy rule-based systems. So let's just go over, and this is again the same thing which I've just explained earlier. कि आपके पास यही फजी एसोसिएटिव मैप है और यहाँ से आपने ये रूल्स जनरेट किए हैं. I can cross over between R1 and R2 and R3 and R1 and any of these rules, and I can generate new rules out of it. And then I can use them to run my fuzzy rule based system and find out कि results कैसे कुछ बेहतर आ रहे हैं या नहीं आ रहे, right? And then I can develop a fuzzy genetic fuzzy rule based systems where both of these things can happen. ठीक है, मैं database को भी change कर रहा हूँ और साथ साथ मैं rule base को भी change कर रहा हूँ. I can combine these two together, and this is what is happening in that case. So I've got genetic algorithms. Genetic algorithm is actually changing or generating new rules and are also changing the membership functions. And both of these changes go into my inferencing system, and then I can actually run my system and find out whether it works perfectly or not, or with what level of accuracy this system actually works. ठीक है जी. So these are some of the references. Then I can actually go on to, yeah, so this is diagrammatic representation of what I've just explained you. ठीक है. So you have the database, you have the predefined database. That predefined database, उसमें genetic algorithm उसकी fine tuning करती है, fuzzy system और उसके ऊपर fitness function run करती है and generate a new database, and then you can use this new database in your fuzzy rule based system. So this is how the same thing is represented diagrammatically. तो ये database की जो tuning है उसमें आप membership function को change कर सकते हैं या scaling functions को change कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, जैसे मीडियम की रेंज, जैसे हम बात कर रहे हैं जो शेप ऑफ द मेंबरशिप फंक्शन जब आप चेंज कर रहे होते हैं तो आप एक्चुअली स्केलिंग फंक्शन को रिप्रेजेंट चेंज कर रहे होते हैं कि इफ यू रिमेंबर ए सी उसकी बेस थी, तो बेस को जब आप चेंज करेंगे तो इनफैक्ट आप उसके स्केल को चेंज करें. ओके, देन ओके, so this is how a chromosome encoding could be is actually done. So let's say if you have got two variables और दोनों के triangular membership functions हैं और हर variable के साथ 3 linguistic labels हैं, तो that means कि in total you will be defining 6 membership functions, and each membership function that you have that has got 3 values, real values. So that means कि दो variables, 3 linguistic labels each variable, would have 6 membership functions, and every membership function, if it is a triangular membership function, would require 3 real values. So in total there are 18 real coded genes that are present in your system. Okay? So instead of having a separate gene for every membership function, you can draw a single chromosome, or you can have a single chromosome with 18 genes. ठीक है, जिसमें से पहली 3 जो हैं वो एक वेरिएबल, को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे होंगे, ठीक है, दूसरी, and then the third one, and so on and so forth. So you will have two variables with three linguistic labels. So three linguistic labels are given here. Each linguistic label would have three values, A, B, and C. So this would be A, B, and C, and that would be, let's say, for small. Then you have A, B, and C for medium. Then you have A, B, and C for large. And this part here, up till here, would represent variable 1. And then you have the same done for variable 2. ठीक है, 3 इसके अंदर आपके पास आते हैं, ठीक है. So you have 1, 2, and 3. So this chromosome is a single chromosome that is representing all the variables and their linguistic labels and their membership functions. So I can combine all these chromosomes which I've discussed earlier together to form a single chromosome. So ये single chromosome क्या represent कर रहा होगा? This single chromosome would be representing one complete database. One complete database would be represented. Right? So is this clear, जी? The discussion that we had earlier and this one. पहले वाले में हम हर वेरिएबल के मेंबरशिप फंक्शन को एक क्रोमोसोम की फॉर्म में रिप्रेजेंट कर, और यहाँ पे हमने क्या किया है कि तमाम वेरिएबल्स को के मेंबरशिप फंक्शंस के क्रोमोसोम्स को वी हैव कंबाइंड देम टुगेदर. जी, क्लियर? Okay, so I hope this is clear. If there isn't any question, so this is an example for that. So you can see यहाँ पे, if you look at the first bit here, you will see you have a variable x और जिसके 3 linguistic labels हैं और उन 3 के 3 membership functions हैं. So you can see that the first 3 are representing small, then these are representing medium, and then the last 3 are representing large. तो ये x की representation आ जाती है, और and this is the representation for y. इसमें से जो पहले 3 हैं they are representing small, the next 3 are representing medium, then the next 3 are representing large. Right? So this is the database. So this is one chromosome, this is another chromosome. And you can see these chromosomes that you have got, both of them are representing two different shapes. यहाँ पे मैंने मीडियम की शेप को चेंज किया है और यहाँ पे दोनों की मीडियम की शेप को मैंने चेंज कर दी. So you can see that shape has been changed. ठीक है. From this shape I have changed it to this shape, और यहाँ पे from this shape I have changed it to this shape. And this is the rule base which remains the same. उस rule base को मैंने change नहीं किया. Right? अच्छा, Zuresh, no, this is not necessary. These shapes could be any shapes. I mean, trapezoidal भी हो सकती हैं, Gaussian भी हो सकती हैं. जैसे ही अगर Gaussian होंगी तो यहाँ पे इसकी रिप्रेजेंटेशन चेंज हो जाएगी. तो फर्ज करें ये मीडियम को मैंने इस तरह से रिप्रेजेंट किया है, अगर ये Gaussian हो जाता है, ठीक है, so then I can use only 2 genes to represent this Gaussian, mean and standard deviation. ठीक है, तो इसकी ये 3 जीन्स की जगह I'll actually be using 2 genes, let's say. ठीक है, and we had that discussion earlier. तो इसलिए ये जीन की शेप्स जो है ना वो चेंज हो जाएगी. I hope the overall concept is clear कि why we are using genetic fuzzy systems or how genetic fuzzy systems are integrated with each other. Okay, so let me just go over some of the ways in which the encoding could be done. So पहले जो मैंने आपको डायग्राम दिखाया that was when you are changing the database. ठीक है, तो अब आपने प्री डिफाइंड डेटाबेस यूज किया, लेकिन लर्निंग प्रोसेस के अंदर आप रूल बेस को चेंज कर रहे हैं. सो यू आर चेंजिंग रूल्स. ठीक है, यू आर चेंजिंग रूल्स. और रूल बेस को चेंज करने के लिए देयर आर 2 अप्रोचेस दैट आर जनरली यूज्ड. वन इज कॉल्ड द मिशिगन लर्निंग अप्रोच and the other one is called the Pittsburgh learning approach. ठीक है, so let me just show you what is this Michigan's learning approach. This is the diagrammatic representation of the Michigan learning approach. ठीक है, so you can see कि यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है. You are sensing something from the environment. You have the fuzzy inference system. You are running the fuzzy inference system. Fuzzy inference system requires a rule base, right? You are using some rule base in this fuzzy inference system. Based on the rule base, some actions are suggested and you perform those actions and you change the environment. And then here you are monitoring whether the environment is changing for good or not, whether this change is good for the environment or is not good for the environment. So some sort of feedback is actually taken, and that feedback actually goes into our rule-based system. And based on this feedback, some changes in the rule-based systems are actually done. For example, if it is an autonomous car that you are trying to make, and the function of that autonomous car is to identify the traffic signals. तो आप सेंस करते हैं, you run the fuzzy system, you recognize and you have a rule base जिसमें कोई rules पड़े हुए हैं to recognize the traffic signals. You use that to recognize the traffic signal and act accordingly. Say stop लिखा हुआ है, and the car stopped at that point. So out of 10 times, the car stopped 7 times, and 3 times it misread the signal. So that would be the feedback that would be given to your fuzzy rule-based system. And the fuzzy rule-based system would try to improve upon the rule base itself to increase that recognition from 7 to, let's say, 9. And that increase could be done by employing some sort of a genetic algorithm here. Okay. So you'll change your fuzzy rule-based system, you replace your old fuzzy rule-based system with the new one, run the system and find out this payoff. Right? So this is the overall learning approach. अच्छा, इसको एक 2 approaches हैं. One is called the Michigan's learning approach and the other one is called the Pittsburgh learning approach. दोनों में जो फर्क है ना, I'll very quickly go over the difference. Michigan learning approach के अंदर you take one rule at a time and modify it. You take one rule at a time and modify that. So let's say my rule base consists of 10 rules. So what I'll do is that I'll basically modify or generate one rule and add it to my knowledge base. और जो सबसे कम use होने वाला rule है out of those 10 rules that are predefined, I throw it out and replace that rule with a new rule. So single rule at a time is taken. Right? This is what is happening in the Michigan's approach. अच्छा, Pittsburgh approach जो है of learning, उसमें क्या हो रहा होगा? पिट्सबर्ग अप्रोच के अंदर क्या हो रहा होगा, उसमें यू डोंट एक्चुअली टेक वन रूल एंड मॉडिफाई इट एंड रिप्लेस इट इन योर नॉलेज बेस. What you do is that you generate the complete rule based system again. So आपके पास, let's say you start with 10 rules. You don't take one rule at a time, modify it and add it back to your rule base. That is what will happen in Michigan's approach. In case of Pittsburgh approach, what would happen is that you will take those 10 rules, you will generate new 10 rules and replace the old 10 rules completely with the new 10 rules. Okay, so complete replacement of total rule base will be done. This is what is happening in case of the Pittsburgh approach. तो ये दो हैं, इन दोनों के एडवांटेजेस हैं, इन दोनों के डिसएडवांटेजेस हैं. कौन सा ज्यादा बेहतर है और कौन सा ज्यादा बेहतर नहीं है, that depends upon say an evaluation approach which is called the cooperative and collaborative principle. Okay, let me just show you what that is. Oh, sorry, cooperation versus competitive problem. So this is what this actually means. Okay, so you have to assess कि Pittsburgh approach ज़्यादा बेहतर है या Michigan approach ज़्यादा बेहतर है, depending upon the cooperation versus competition that is generated between these two approaches. And this is called CCP. Cooperation versus competition problem. Cooperation versus competition problem. Acha, cooperation versus competition problem kya hai? I'll just explain that in a minute. So if I generate one rule and replace only one rule in my knowledge base, the new rule that I've generated, that could generate a conflict with the other 9 rules. ये हो सकता है कि कोई contradictory rule मैं generate कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है? So if it is contradictory to the others, then it would generate a competition. कि अगर एक रूल कुछ कह रहा है, दूसरा रूल कुछ और कह रहा है, तो that would generate a competition between those two rules. कि दोनों में से मैंने कौन सा रूल रखना. ठीक है? दोनों रूल इकट्ठे रूल बेस में नहीं रह सकते बिकॉज दे आर कॉन्ट्रडिक्टरी. सो कौन सा रूल ज्यादा बेहतर रहेगा आपकी रूल बेस के अंदर, दैट इज व्हाट यू कॉल एज कंपटीशन. एंड कोऑपरेटिव, इफ वन रूल कॉम्प्लीमेंट्स अनदर रूल, दैट बोथ द रूल्स कैन कोएग्जिस्ट. ठीक है? सो दैट वुड बी द कंपटीशन एंड दैट वुड बी द कोलैबोरेटिव और द कोऑपरेटिव एस्पेक्ट. So this is a problem that you'll have to overcome. And this problem is more, what you can say, prominent in one of these two methods. One is called the Michigan's learning approach and the other one is called the Pittsburgh learning approach. Michigan learning approach में you take one rule at a time and replace it. अच्छा, Pittsburgh के अंदर this is what is happening. You actually take the complete knowledge base, all or the rule base. So you have one complete knowledge base, you have another complete knowledge base. Okay? The knowledge based discovery system here is what is called the genetic algorithm that you are applying here. तो आपका genetic algorithm complete knowledge base generate कर रहा है, complete नई knowledge base generate कर रहा है. तो आप fuzzy system के अंदर अपनी existing knowledge base को replace कर रहे हैं with the new knowledge base completely. Right? You are not changing one rule at a time. You are not changing one membership function at a time. You are actually generating a new knowledge base and completely replacing it. ठीक है? तो मिशिगन अप्रोच के अंदर क्या होगा, आपके फर्ज करें 10 रूल्स हैं, तो आप 10 रूल्स में हर टाइम इंटरवल के ऊपर आप एक रूल को या 2 रूल्स को रिप्लेस कर रहे होंगे, कंप्लीट नॉलेज बेस को रिप्लेस नहीं कर रहे होंगे. और पिट्सबर्ग अप्रोच के अंदर you will basically be replacing the complete knowledge base with a new knowledge base. So genetic algorithm will be generating a complete knowledge base in case of Pittsburgh approach, and In case of the Michigan approach, the knowledge base, the genetic algorithm will be generating only one rule at a time and replacing it in your knowledge base. So CCP problem, which is cooperative and competition problem, जो है, that would be more prominent in Michigan approach or in Pittsburgh approach. आपके ख्याल में किस में ज़्यादा prominent होगी? The last question before we leave. Michigan approach के अंदर. And why is that? Avais actually said कि ये Michigan approach में ज़्यादा prominent हो. Why is that? Okay, because you're changing one rule at a time without considering the other rules. Whereas जब मैं complete knowledge base को replace कर रहा हूँ, so the genetic algorithm का जो fitness है या genetic algorithm की जो अपनी formulation है, genetic algorithm will not allow, or you may design a genetic algorithm in a way that may not allow a competitive environment within that knowledge base. तो वो आप अपने fitness function के अंदर उसको incorporate कर सकते हैं आसानी से. Whereas when you are approaching the problem using the Michigan approach के अंदर you are not considering the other 9 rules. आपने एक 10th rule generate किया और उसके अंदर add कर दिया और बाद में आपको पता चला कि वो तो in conflict था with some other rule that was already present because your chromosome did not encode the other rules at that time. Or you are not looking at the other 9 rules. You are only looking at one rule and you added that rule. ठीक है? Knowledge base जब आप Pittsburgh approach use करते हैं तो in that case you actually have that sort of mechanism जिसमें complete knowledge base generate कर रहे हैं और आप वो knowledge base ही वो generate करते हैं जो कि competitive ना हो. I mean cooperative ही हो सिर्फ. ठीक है? Because you are generating the complete knowledge base. I hope this aspect is clear. इसमें कोई confusion नहीं है. And then there is a third way, which is called the iterative rule learning. Iterative rule learning is a combination of Pittsburgh and Michigan approach. दोनों को आपने combine कर दिया. ठीक है? So at times you are doing a single rule learning, and at other times you are replacing the complete knowledge base. So it's actually a mix of that, mix of both, which is called the iterative rule learning approach. ठीक है? So in other words, this would again resolve that competition, the CCP problem. ठीक है? कोई जैसे कोई CCP या competition generate होता है तो आप complete rule base को replace कर देते हैं या knowledge base को replace कर देते हैं. ठीक है? So Michigan approach के अंदर आपका जो क्रोमोसोम है वो क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा होगा? आपका क्रोमोसोम एक रूल को इनकोड कर रहा होगा किसी, या आपका क्रोमोसोम जो होगा वो सिंगल रूल इनकोडिंग को यूज कर रहा होगा. एंड इन केस ऑफ द पिट्सबर्ग अप्रोच योर सिंगल क्रोमोसोम में रिप्रेजेंट द कंप्लीट नॉलेज बेस. आप उस कंप्लीट नॉलेज बेस को सिंगल क्रोमोसोम में भी रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं. दैट्स अ पॉसिबिलिटी. And that would be a challenging task. ठीक है? एक क्रोमोसोम आपने लेना है और पूरी रूल बेस या पूरे नॉलेज बेस को उसे क्रोमोसोम से आपने रिप्रेजेंट करना है. ठीक है? So Pittsburgh approach would be difficult for online learning. इसलिए Pittsburgh approach जो है वो offline learning के लिए ज़्यादा यूज होती है. You have the data with you, you learn the complete rule base, knowledge base, and then you replace it, and that learning is done offline. Michigan approach का फायदा ये है कि you can actually do that sort of a learning online with less burden or overhead. ठीक है? तो ज़्यादातर पिट्सबर्ग अप्रोच ऑफलाइन यूज होती है, मिशिगन अप्रोच ऑनलाइन यूज होती है. राइट? इज दिस क्लियर? अच्छा, नेक्स्ट इज देयर आर फ्यू एग्जांपल्स व्हिच आर गिवन हियर, एंड आई वुड से कि आप उन एग्जांपल्स को यू शुड गो थ्रू दोज एग्जांपल्स एंड सी कि ये इनकोडिंग कैसे हो रही है और किस तरह से ये इनकोडिंग जो है वो पॉसिबल है. This is up to slide number 48. और फिर उसके बाद कुछ रेफरेंसेस हैं, ठीक है. सो these examples are actually given here. जी, you can use both, ठीक है. Whenever it's required. जब आपका ज़ुरैस का क्वेश्चन था कि will we use both encoding formats for iterative? Yes, you can use both, ठीक है. iterative के अंदर आप ऐसे दोनों कर सकते हैं, दोनों को यूज कर सकते हैं. when the competition increases तो फिर आप पूरे उसको जो है वो नॉलेज बेस को ही रिप्लेस कर दें. otherwise you will only replace a chunk of your knowledge base or a single rule base. So that's possible. आप दोनों कि दोनों इनकोडिंग यूज कर सकते हैं या सिंगल इनकोडिंग के साथ भी आप कंप्लीट नॉलेज बेस को रिप्लेस कर सकते हैं. Okay, so this actually ends our discussion today. I'll email about the next session. Next session के ऊपर I'll have a discussion on the paper that was given to you for review, and you should come prepared. आप ये कीजिएगा कि you should each one of you should have at least 3 slides, 3 to 4 slides prepared on that paper review, and we'll go through that paper review in our next class. Okay, so you should come prepared. You will basically be presenting your view about the paper that has been given to you for the review in our class.